but he needs to keep that pressure on Magnus's clock as well.
Yeah, the problem is for black is you really would like to take this G2 pawn for the H4 pawn, like release your own rook. That would be good. You want connected passed pawns that are unopposed, but Magnus is not allowing that. He's giving the king a bunch of checks. You could run forward, but then the rook will continue to follow the king, push it to the other side of the board, and then start going after the black pawns. So this is exactly what Magnus is doing. Hikaru has to step back and look at this back and forth shuffling pieces. The H4 pawn remains a target. The black rook has to stay passively defending rather than going after white's pawns.
Yeah, but there maybe black's plan should have been to get the rook to the second rank, to tie down that white king to the g-pawn. You mentioned, Robert, that you have to go for that trade. You have to get that remaining white pawn on g2 in order to get your central pawns rolling. And now he's kind of tied up his own rook, Hikaru. I don't like where the black rook is placed. It's in front of its own pawns, blocking your only plan of advancing them. And now, really classy from Magnus, he just cuts off the black king. The black king now can never step down the board to the 6th rank and has to start marching over to harass that rook. But again, Magnus is going to start attacking some pawns, just keeping those black pieces honest, keeping the black rook or king tied down. Maybe Magnus is going to get the draw of the bar back closer towards the center, but okay, now decision time for Hikaru. Do you surrender your central pawns and go for white's pawns? No, you have to keep your pawns intact in the middle just to keep some chances alive. An
important theoretical endgame is if white loses both pawns for the e5 pawn, that is a theoretical draw. I know from experience, I had that position against Viswanathan Anand. I had the 2 pawns. He held the draw. And so it's something that both players know. And that's why Hikaru is clinging on to this e-pawn. He pushes it forward. He connects it with his other pawn. And that will create threats if the black king gets active. If that black king were on the 4th or 5th rank up to g5, that would be good news. But the king is cut off. Magnus's rook is in the perfect position.
Yeah, if that king was better placed, that black king, I think he'd be winning, Hikaru. But he's going for it now. He's pushing his pawns without his king. Ooh, this is either very good or it will blow the winning chances. I do fear for Hikaru that actually now the black rook is stuck defending its own pawns. You need to connect the king with your pieces, with the rest of your army. Magnus, can he hold this one with less than 10 seconds? He's doing all the right things so far.
The most important thing for Magnus is to make sure that black's king doesn't advance, and that's what he does. He does keep the king blocked, but the bar does not approve of that.
And I'm wondering why not? Does black have something really strong? The winning plan is not going to be obvious for any human here, let alone these players with only a few seconds left on their clock. And I'm expecting Hikaru to move his rook away at some point. You need to activate those black pawns. At the moment, everything's a bit stuck. Black rook needs to move.
Magnus Carlsen doesn't believe in fortresses. He famously said that, but I do think that we could see a fortress here. I know the eval bar looks like it's great for black, but sometimes you can't actually break through. But look, the rook retreats. That means the black king can step forward. That is not good news for Magnus. And watch out for Hikaru to bring his king up and then push his f4 pawn to f3. Just jettison that pawn so his king can enter the position and go for checkmating ideas.
Yeah, note how Hikaru just from time to time, he repeats the position just to put the pressure back on Magnus, just to say, okay, I'm in control. We're definitely not going for a draw, but I'm just going to tease you with that. And look at this. Suddenly the white rook moves. And
what's happening?
Can the black rook make headway against the lone white king? Maybe you needed to check from the bottom of the board and then go behind the white king.
Is Hikaru winning?
It feels like he should be. The black king is so active now. We said as long as the black king joins the action, you're winning. But what's the killer plan?
And Hikaru stops. He takes a pause. He knows that there's something in the position. He's trying to calculate, and that is the right thing to do. He knows that he's made maximum progress, but where is the killer blow here?
He's going to bring his king all the way in at some point. His rook is going to be released from the f-file somewhere along the 2nd rank, and the black king is going to stake for d4, d3 into e2. And whoa, he plays f3 right away. And was that a good choice?
I'm surprised he committed with so little time on the clock. He could have repeated and gone back to this. Robert, earlier you mentioned that f-pawn and h-pawn together is a draw, but e-pawn and h-pawn is winning because they're so far apart. White's defenses will be stretched. Can the black king come in now? Is it still winning?
This is so close. It does look like, because every time you do move your rook away from here, white king steps forward and everything is under control. He's got to get the king into the attack to help that e-pawn advance further. I'm expecting a king advance right now, but watch out for a rook check that might pick up the h-pawn.
Yeah, you have to be careful where you put the black king right now. You don't want to allow any nasty checks from the white rook behind. Okay, he retreats his rook. Really clever. Now look at the white king. It's cut off. It can never move towards that black central pawn because the black rook cuts along the f-file, and Hikaru bobs his head. He thinks he's winning. It does look very strong. The king is coming now.
Wait, but he's going to check. How is he going to run away? If his king goes to the c-file, the rook just slides over, and you can't push the e-pawn. And now you're more distance from the king. So if the king goes to d3, you see the bar go back to equal. So
react, Hikaru. Hikaru as well.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I thought he still had great winning chance, but he allows the king forward, but then the rook comes to g3 with check. So that's why Magnus slides backwards, and his king is no longer cut off. That means that Magnus Carlsen should be able to hold.
Yeah, Hikaru, maybe there was a more accurate way of doing it. It wasn't easy, even if it was winning, and suddenly Magnus's rook is active. Suddenly you can start giving checks from the side.
And now he wants to come with the king to the other side. He wants to create an opposition and try and attack White's king, create a mating net, but Magnus slides all the way back with the rook to give backward checks to Black's king. And this just looks like with the Black rook stuck here, there will be no saving the Black king from checks anymore. We're going to see 100 checks, but the result will be the same. This will end in a draw.
Wow, nowhere safe to hide. If the Black rook could move away, the Black king could hide in front of its own pawns, or his own h-pawn. But now there's nowhere safe. If you have to start retreating the Black king towards the White rook, then suddenly your pawns might drop off. And look at Hikaru.
He's so frustrated right now.
And it's the wrong pawn, the h-pawn. So if the king goes back, the White king steps forward, the rook will take this pawn on e3, and the king is inside the square. When king and pawning games, you try to chase down the pawn, you make a square to the promotion point. And here, it's okay, h3, the pawn goes forward.
Still alive.
But no more progress. I think Black is completely frozen now.
But what happens once the Black king starts running over? Still nowhere to hide, I guess. And, okay, we're past the 100 move mark. This has been a marathon game. Can Hikaru squeeze out a win?
What a fight.
Magnus thinks he's drawing. He leant back there looking very happy with himself. But still, chances alive. I agree with Robert. I think it's the wrong pawn. The Black rook is just on the worst possible square, tied down defending both of them. The Black rook is passive. You need active pieces to win these types of endgames. Oh, what a miracle this is if Magnus holds.
And it's just amazing, the defense that he's shown. And we can see Hikaru that he's giving up on this. He knows that there's no way to improve this position further. The Black's rook is tied down to defending that e3 pawn and the h3 pawn. Magnus continues to attack the Black king with checks. There's no place to hide. And we see Hikaru leaning back. He knows he's done everything, but it's not been enough.
So close, but no cigar. Down under 10 seconds now, Hikaru. He looks like he's about to give up his winning attempts, about to agree that draw. Just all the checks. Look at that Black king. So sad, has to retreat the whole way back. And this pattern's just going to continue. The Black king's going to chase the White rook, but to no avail. The White rook is just going to move, hide, check, and cause all the problems in the world.
And at this point, Hikaru might just be going for the longest game in Champions Chess Tour history because we're at move 116, it seems, and it's going to keep going because Hikaru is just going to hope for a Magnus Carlsen mistake. But the issue for Hikaru, his rook is completely frozen in place. If it ever leaves the third rank, the pawns are going to fall off, and the king, it wants to help out in protecting the pawns, but the rook keeps checking. So as long as the king is far away from the rook keeps checking it, and the king has nowhere to hide.
And we see that happening, and now he just shifts back because there's nothing to be done, and it doesn't matter where the king goes. When the king gets closer to the pawns, Magnus starts checking it, driving it away.
Yeah, no progress has been made over the last 20 moves now. Hikaru, wow, can he recover? Yeah, can he recover from this heartbreak? And lots of cheerleaders we see for Hikaru on Twitter. And yeah, he's put up such a fight. I love everything Hikaru's done this game. Just
Is that a Hikachu?
Hikachu.
Hikaru or Hikachu?
Yeah. It's just so close. This is the most frustrating thing in chess. You do everything right. Hikaru's literally not put a foot wrong this game. But breaking the defenses of the world #1, that's another question. That's another level.
But there is something to take away from it. The fact that Hikaru was able to create this chance, this opportunity with the Black pieces. David, earlier you were talking about going into the last round on his terms, and that's what he's managed to create. He's made it clear that Magnus needs to be careful.
There we have it.